What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Beyond the Podcast. This podcast is actually extremely special, and this is the first time that I've had somebody on the podcast from not the same physical location as me. He's actually across the country, but Justin Holland is joining me, and he is actually someone who has lost his sight about a year ago, and he had sight all the way up to this point. Now he has a YouTube channel. He's trying to become a bodybuilder, so he's got his first competition coming up. All sorts of crazy stuff. I personally heard about this from Alan, so thank you. Shout out to Alan. But really, I thought the whole topic I thought was just so interesting, and I think the adversity that he's facing is one of the most interesting subjects I've ever even put my head into, because I heard about this about 2 weeks ago, and I just haven't stopped thinking about the different intricacies that come with this. So anyways, I'll shut up. Welcome to the show, Justin Holland. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you, man?
I'm really good, man. So just tell us some background information about you. You know, your name, your age, where you come from, and then just kind of maybe some brief background of who you are and how you got to the point where you are.
All right, yeah. So my name is Justin Holland, and I currently live in Stanley, North Carolina, which that's where I was born and raised. I was born in Gastonia, North Carolina, but I've lived here my whole life. I'm currently 21 years old, and I started losing my sight when I was 20, which was it's been exactly 1 year. It was last April when I first started losing my sight. I grew up, playing sports, just like, most boys and stuff. I played baseball, just about every sport you could think of besides soccer. I just that wasn't for me.
That's our one point. I was all about soccer, bro. That's funny.
I played soccer my 9th grade year, and all I did, and the only reason I played, I grew up and I was athletic. I was always a really skinny kid, but the only reason I played was my high school team was really, really bad, so they needed people to play. And I went out there, me and my buddy, he actually played before, so he taught me into going out there, and then I went out there and I just started, my nickname was Slide Tackle Steve. So I just tried to slide tackle people. That's all I really did. I'm pretty sure I played the whole year, and I never fully understood the rules. I just went out there and played. It was really fun, but yeah.
You just went out there and tried to take kids out?
Yeah, I actually have a picture on my Facebook, but I was about all of 90 pounds, so I get pushed around very easily, but they would, I would go out, and if I took their feet out, it would work. So I was known as Slide Tackle Steve. But yeah, I played all kinds of sports, and then at about 15, between 15 and 16, I started, the same friend actually he's my best friend. His name was Luke, but he was really, really just naturally big and strong, and he was going to the gym around that time, so he taught me into going, and it was I was about 15. I started working out, and it was just like a bug. I got bit, and literally ever since then I've been addicted to it. I started when I was about 115 pounds. I was about 10th grade. So
damn.
Yep. So,
nice, dude. That's awesome. So you're fairly consistent. Let's jump forward to you explaining when you first started having your sight go. You were lifting, you were going to school at the moment, and then bring us through the process of you even finding out about everything.
Okay, so really the first time I noticed it, and it's kind of weird, but I was at school. I was at UNC Charlotte, so I was still going to school. I was still working. I was still doing everything, and going to the gym, and I would go to the gym, and when I was working out, it was my left eye. There was a little spot in the center, and it was just like, if I describe the spot, if you look at the sun and then you look away and blink, there's like that little, it has a name. I don't know what the technical name for it is, but if you look at the sun, look away, and blink, there's like a little spot there. Well, that's what it almost looked like, and it was really small in the center of my left eye. And when I worked out, I noticed it would actually get worse. Now, I think, my thought on this is like, when you work out and, oxygen levels. So I think that's what it was, and just stress. So it would always come back down after working out, like 2 hours after working out, it would be back to like the way it is normally. But there was just a little spot in my left eye, and after about, I would say 2 weeks, I remember I went and played basketball. I used to play a lot of pickup basketball. It was one of my favorite, just, sports you can play with your friends and get some cardio in and just exercise. And I noticed, like, when someone passed me the ball, I felt like I was going to clap my hands and the ball was going to hit me in the face. My depth perception was a little off. And I told my mom, and it was about 2 weeks after I first noticed that little spot. I told her, I'm like, and I did have glasses, but I lost them, so I didn't want to tell my mom that. They were like $600 glasses. So I wasn't wearing my glasses. It was astigmatism, so it wasn't nothing crucial, but I thought I just needed my glasses back. That's all I thought. But I went to the eye doctor for the first visit, and the doctor visit was in April of last year, of 2016, but went to the doctor visit, and then it just kind of started a snowball effect from then on out, because they didn't know what it was, and then I went to another doctor. It was a neuro-ophthalmologist, which is a nerve specialist, and they just started doing all kinds of tests, and then they done these tests, and she informed me, she's like, well, they thought it was vitamin deficiency. They thought it was a B12 deficiency. And, I mean, obviously, I was like, I don't think that's the problem. And I try to, I eat pretty healthy. And I did take supplementation for B12, the sublingual, under the tongue, but it didn't do anything. But after that, after a month of doing that, and my vision was getting worse, I was referred to Wake Forest, which is a very reputable doctor. They have a hospital and all kinds of stuff up there, and they're very reputable. So I went up there, and my vision, from April until June, I think it was June 1st of 2016, I was declared legally blind. And that's when I had to stop driving. And it's like people don't, it really was like frustrating, because the doctor would tell me, and still people tell me, like, well, how can you text? It's like, well, how can you do this if you can't see? But the doctor was like, because I stopped going to school because I obviously couldn't, and she was just kind of questioning it, like saying that you can see better than that, or like, I'm like, well, how can you tell me how I can see? But she, it was from so. From June, I stopped driving. I went in there, and she did some tests, and she was like, well, are you still driving? I'm like, yeah, I'm still driving. And she goes, well, you're not anymore. And then that's when I stopped driving in June. But I kept doing tests and all this at Wake Forest, and then the test for what I have is the genetic condition that I have is Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy, and the testing is genetic testing, and I think they only do it in like 2 labs in the United States, and one's Iowa State. And they sent that off in August of 2016, and I think in September we got the test results back, so it took like a month, and then it came back positive. So, that kind of ended the journey of doctor visits, and I just kind of, there wasn't really anything that's basically where it ended. I still haven't, there's no, cure that's came out yet or anything like that. So it's kind of just, live with it, learn to live with it.
Right. That's when you knew exactly what it was that was going on.
Yeah. And like the crazy thing was the first time back when the first doctor was saying, it might be B12. She went through this list of possibilities. And of course, you want to keep the worst for last, because you don't want to, tell someone that you think they have that. And she honestly didn't, since it's so rare. And we was hoping and praying that wasn't it, but it ended up being that. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a crazy.
Wow, that's incredible, man.
6 months, yeah. And I was working in a restaurant from April when I moved back home until October, and I was really thankful this restaurant that it's actually in the same town as my gym, but they worked with me, and they basically just, made it where I could still work. And I had some very fun times there, because I couldn't see I was a food runner, and I was going to be a server, but my vision kept getting worse, so that was out of the picture. But I would carry food out to the tables, and people would say, well, I had the prime rib, not the so-and-so, and I would be like, oh. I wouldn't know which one's which.
You're like, sorry, man.
And I would just switch the plates or something, and I would be like, well, I don't know which one's which, and they're like, well, you work here, and I mean, it was a very nice restaurant, so I had to wear like a button up and all this, and they're like, well, you work here, so you should know, and I was like, oh, I never told anybody that. I mean, it was kind of fun though. It was kind of, I kind of like saw it as a game.
You thought of it as a game, you said?
Yeah, because I would like try to play it off. Like one time I had to go out and light a candle on a table for like, because we'd take a big old slice of like whatever kind of cake they wanted, and we'd put one candle in it for if it was their birthday, and like the food runner would carry it out there and then take a lighter and light it at the table so it wouldn't blow out when we cook it out there. Well, I was trying to light, I mean, this was before my vision got really, really bad. I mean, it was still pretty bad. I was trying to light the candle, and I was lighting like halfway down the candle, and they're like, everybody at the table was like, a little higher, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I was like, sorry, I kind of got I got a little bit of trouble seeing. They're like, a little bit.
That's funny.
And my manager walks over there and says, sorry, here, Justin, I'll take this. He's like, sorry, Justin's blind. And it was just, there were so many funny things that
and they're like, man, he just completely understated that to us. He said he couldn't see very well.
Oh, so many things happened there.
Dude, that's funny. All right, so how fast would you say that the loss of your vision went? Because you said that you were diagnosed in April, and then by June you had your license taken because you were diagnosed legally blind. How long did you lose it? Or how long did it take for you to lose it?
I guess, like I said, I stopped working in October, so that's when it started getting like very, because it's not like I see pitch black, and that's the weird thing, and most people think that, and I thought that when I would see someone that was like, blind, I would think, well, they just don't see, but it's like, when I walk outside and it's a bright sunny day, it's like pitch white. It's like someone's shining like the brightest LED light in your eyes that you could think of, and like that's all you can see. So it's like from April until really December. December is when I tried to get my, I call it my blind stick, but it's a cane is what the technical term is, but I think, I tell you, as far as services go as my experiences, the services to help like blind people, they're in no hurry to get you help. So like, if I didn't have my family like to help me, I honestly don't know where I'd be, but I got my cane in December, and I would say it from really sometime in January of 2017 is when it kind of just, that's it. That's when it stopped. So April until January. They say 6 months to a year, and I guess that's about right, because I would always say that too. I was trying to be optimistic. I would say, well, I think it's done progressing, and I would say that in August or September or but it was so slow to progress. It's not like you'd wake up and say, yeah, it's worse today. It was more like 2 weeks from now, it's definitely worse from 2 weeks ago. So it's it was, I'd say about January is when it kind of just it's been the same since then. Yes, it's still like, I learn stuff almost every day. It just better ways to live, better ways to just new little tricks and things to help me get by. Right.
You're by no means, you're not a master yet.
That's one thing about my YouTube channel is I'm kind of documenting the journey, and as many of us know, YouTube's kind of a very saturated, as far as fitness, it's very saturated, and it's hard to become, I guess, seen in the YouTube community. But that's one thing that I've learned is rather than trying to create videos sometimes, like especially in my case, I can document just my journey that I'm going through, and that's what I've been trying to do, because I only know 5 Braille letters right now. So, I've done a whole course. It's like, there's like 4 courses. I've done a whole one, and now I've done the first lesson out of this second course, and now I know 5 letters. So I know C, G, L, F, and A.
Dude, you are killing it, man. That's funny.
So if it's like words like fall or something, I can read it if it's in Braille. So
Dude, that's
not sure how helpful that is.
That's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on my channel, on my podcast, is because from watching a few of your videos after Alan told me about you, I went over there, I watched a couple, and I think it's really cool because, you know, what happened to you is something that's pretty intense, man. Like, a lot of people could take that in multiple different directions. They could either take that in a really good way or a really negative way. And from watching your videos, it seems like you're trying to approach it with such a positive attitude. And even if somebody's not dealing with the same thing as you, I think by someone watching your content and seeing like the adversity that you're faced with, but seeing the approach that you're taking and showing it in such a positive light. I mean, even before we started this interview, I was asking you how depthful I could get with the questions, how serious I could get. And you were like, ask me anything, man. Like, it's not a big deal. I try to make it as fun and lighthearted as it is. You say that you crack jokes all the time about it. I think that's amazing, man. And I think that people could get a lot out of that. And the other thing that I really wanted to have you on my podcast, my channel for, is because you have 100. You said you have 150 subscribers.
Yeah, I've actually, I've been doing it since I started YouTube. I've always wanted to do it, and I've been a person to say, I guess I care too much what people think, or I don't know, but I've always kind of had that, I've the want to and the drive to start a YouTube channel, and that's like I told you, I've always been a tech savvy person. That's like my intro that I have on my channel. I made that myself, but I made that way before I lost my sight, and I made like the little logo. I mean, it's not really
cool.
A logo, but
that is so cool.
I made that before I lost my sight, and but I didn't start my channel now until November, I think it was. Right, it was around Halloween, so it's been about 6 months, and I've been trying to consistently upload, but I got 150 subscribers now, so it's
you got 150 subscribers, you get somewhere around 100 or less views per video. And I think all that you need is for people to know about who you are and what your story is, man, because there's nothing out there that's like you. So if you're watching this or you're listening to this podcast right now, I really, really urge you to go over there, click the link in the description or however you can get over there. It's Justin Holland, Holland, and go subscribe and follow to this guy, because all the content he's putting out, even just the few videos I've seen, I leave the video thinking all sorts of different things because I'm learning so much. It's really interesting. But the other point I wanted to harp on was you said it was kind of hard when you were working at the restaurant. It was kind of hard for you to tell people that you were blind, because it's a really new issue for you. Now you're on YouTube and you're making videos. I mean, one of the most interesting one was I watched you explain how you edit videos that you can't see, and I thought that was amazing. How has that changed? Like, when you first got diagnosed and you were having to tell people, how hard was that to tell people, and were you really nervous and reserved about it? And then how did that change, and why is it easier, or why are you willing to share it so openly now?
It wasn't like it was I guess very difficult as far as like that. I would just say that really the main reason I would say that I didn't tell people in the restaurant was because it would definitely spark a long conversation, and they wouldn't understand. You know what I mean? They would. I couldn't in a restaurant. I was running food to a table. Every minute I was going to the kitchen running food. It was very busy, and I didn't want to really. I don't know. I just didn't really want to spark that up. Now, I mean, if I'm in the gym or if I'm just out, I guess I will. But it's still sometimes people don't understand. I've had a guy in the gym. I was walking around with my stick, and he, I kind of, I use my ears for a lot of things, my hearing, but he was, he's like, all right, come on. And I wait for him. I try to be, courteous, but he's like, come on. And I was like, okay. And I started walking, and he's like, when I was passing him, he goes, do you have trouble seeing or something? And I'm just like, I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, I was just like, yeah, just a little bit. It's so many, sometimes it's funny not to tell people, honestly. Like, I had to go for all of the government, issued things. I had to go and get my eyes checked again, and it's its own doctor visit. And actually, the video, The Blind Bodybuilder, which I have, pinned kind of to the top of my YouTube channel, is the first video I really uploaded, describing everything. you see me in the doctor, and the doctor's talking to me. It was that visit, but I walked out of there, and they give you those funny looking glasses, and I was wearing them, just joking around, because I was with my mom, and I was trying to find the car door, and this guy was parked beside us, and his window's down, and he's like, "Yeah, man, just a little bit farther," and he's like, "I know exactly how it is," and I'm just like. He just thought my eyes was dilated.
You're like, no, you have no clue.
I know. I get in the car, my mom, she's sitting there. She's like, yeah, he knows exactly how it is. Yeah, it's not like, I don't know if I think it's right or not right. I don't know. Sometimes it's almost just better and just more amusing not to tell people, unless it's like someone that I'm I guess meeting or something like that.
I like that you derive pleasure out of toying with people.
It's funny. I was gonna make a YouTube video, I was gonna make it called "The Blind Man's Game," just to do it. I mean, it's just that's kind of the way I see it, because I told my mom. My mom got a new car, and I'm like, I was like, all right, so we're gonna go to the dealership. We're gonna, I'm not gonna have my cane. You're gonna have the camera, and our goal is to get me in the driver's seat to test drive a car, and then we tell him. Just to see. Now, I don't know if that's legal or not, but I obviously wouldn't do anything because I couldn't afford the car. But I think that'd be a cool video.
Just scare him pissless as you're turning the engine on, then be like, "No, I'm just kidding. I'm turning it off."
Yeah, turn it on, and then I'm like, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, I'm blind." I don't know what they would do, but yeah, I don't know. I have all kinds of funny things. Yes, I mean there has been times like you said on my channel, and that's one of the main reasons. Fitness is my passion and bodybuilding and things like that, the gym. But one of the main reasons that I started my channel was I like you said, I do feel like that even though not a lot of people are going to be going blind or losing their sight, but they can relate as far as just going through something rough. And I do try to stay optimistic as much as possible and stay positive and on top of things. And actually the gym really helps me with that because it keeps me busy, and all of this really keeps me busy, and that's what I love doing. But there's obviously times, like not so much now, but during that from April till January time when I was like losing my job and stuff like that. I've always been a very independent person and always had a very good hard work ethic.
Yeah,
and,
I can see.
Yeah, and when I'm at my job and there would just be things that I can't do just because I can't see, and that was probably one of the biggest and hardest things for me is there's things that I just couldn't do, and I don't know, it kind of dawned on me because really the day, they pulled me in the office and they was like, yeah, we're not gonna, you really can't, your vision's getting worse. And I was honest with him, but it's just he's like, we might be able to find you something to do. And I'm just like, I just didn't want that. And that's, ever since that point on, I've really just been focusing on, all of this and, fitness and doing what I, really love and what I want to do with the rest of my life. So it's kind of, there's pluses in it, but, it was definitely hard to, I guess, come to that realization.
I'm very similar to you in the idea that I'm a very hardworking person, and I get a lot of enjoyment and catharsis from doing work, being independent, and earning my keep and stuff like that, right? It sounds to me like you don't like pity.
I don't, and that's one of the things let me try to think of. And with my family and friends, I've kind of learned to just kind of not let it bother me as much because I know, it's just good intentions now.
Right.
They're just trying to help me because I can't see. But especially if I'm, I guess, with someone that hasn't been around me much, they don't know what to do. They
tiptoe on eggshells, man.
Yeah, they don't understand, I guess, what I need help with, or, and they just want to help. So it's I try to not, let it bother me, but I am a very independent person, and my dad's the same way. I guess that's where I got it, and he understands that, and it's just, that's been another one of the hardest things is trying to just, I want to, be on my own. I still live at home right now, but, in the next year or so, my plan is to be back at my own place and hopefully be where I can actually walk to a gym. And that's because like you're saying, I really don't like relying on people and getting pity or anything like that.
Right. You probably haven't seen this quite yet, but I did a documentary on this guy named Johnny Straws. He faced 3 stage 4 cancers, and he was going to do his first bodybuilding competition when he was diagnosed with all this. Decided to continue and go towards the bodybuilding competition with his cancer facing him. But it's sort of the same thing, man. When I was talking with him, he would always talk about how when people who weren't around him often, or people who hadn't seen him in a long time, come around again and they find out about this new diagnosis or whatever, everyone's talking so carefully not to offend him, and they don't want to do anything wrong, and you know what I mean? Like it's such an eggshell situation where if I was facing cancer, or if I was facing what you're facing, I would want people to treat me the exact same, and
I know what you mean, and I guess, and I've noticed that too. I moved back home from Charlotte, and I obviously had to change my gyms back up and come back to. I was going to the YMCA in Belmont, which is like where I first started working out. That was like my first gym, and that was really within the month. I could drive there. That was between April and June, and then I came back to the gym I go to now. It's more like I really love the gym I go to, but I would see people in there, and they would they'd come up to me and they'd be so hesitant to ask, and I'm just like, I don't see I don't see why they're hesitant, but like I guess some people it would be I don't know. It's just because I make jokes about it, and it's not like a touchy subject. That's the way I really put it, because now mostly everybody knows in there, but there's still people that don't. I guess they're not like regulars that come to the gym, or if they're new. And I guess they probably do get a little surprised, because I don't, and a plus about that is I went to this gym before I lost my sight, so I know, and it hasn't changed at all, so.
That's awesome.
I know the layout. Yeah, so I know the layout, so I use my stick to get around, but when I'm, obviously can't use it while I'm lifting.
Right.
But some people are very hesitant, and I don't know, it's, I know, yes, it's, I don't like being treated differently either. I'd rather just be treated, just like me, because I still am me.
Right. Yeah, and you can't really blame those people, right? Because there are some people who, if they're faced with the same situation as you, would be really touchy and really offended when people ask them certain questions. So you feel the people, but you try to diffuse the situation as quickly as possible and be like, no, it's chill, man. It's completely fine. We can talk about it, right?
Oh, yeah, no, exactly. That's exactly. I was like, yeah, it's not a touchy subject. It's like, yeah, exactly.
And I think it's cool that you say you wanna like take care of yourself, and you wanna build, hopefully, the whole social media and online aspect of sharing your life. You want to build that into something that could possibly become a business, and be something that you do, because it sounds like it's something that you can become really passionate about, or maybe you already are, because it gives you something that's really cool and really big to do that really doesn't depend on whether or not you have your sight still. I think that's freaking awesome, man. Do you have a plan of what you want to do in the future with your YouTube and social media and stuff like that, or are you just kind of like seeing how it goes as you go?
Right now, I guess I'm kind of, I would say, winging it. I do want to really just make something out of it, like you're saying, and really kind of make that out of a business, and be that what I do. And like I don't really know. I don't really have a plan. I don't guess. I do kind of like a vlog style thing, and I'm very passionate about what I do. I enjoy it, and if it does take off, or if it is a possibility that be something that I can make a living out of, then I will. And I think that one of the hardest things with losing your sight is finding something I can't, like, even if I wasn't going on this journey and wasn't trying to, if I wasn't passionate about this, what would I really do that I could enjoy to make a living? And that's, it's really hard for, when you lose your sight, because there's so many things that just really aren't possible, to, I guess, make a living once you lose your sight. And I think that's one of the main reasons. And, I've always loved doing this. Like I said, I've always had that thought and, passion and drive to create a YouTube channel. It's just, it's just, in my opinion, you have to stick out in order to make it now on YouTube, especially if you're going into like a saturated market, and
Yes.
fitness is very saturated. But I don't know, I think losing my sight it might make me stick out a little bit.
Dude, it is the most intriguing thing in my mind right now. For the last couple of weeks, I've just been thinking about all these different questions. There's no chance that we could cover everything that I want to ask you in even a 2-hour period of time. We could do 7 more episodes of this, and I'd still have things to ask you because it's so interesting. And I just want to say that because I want you to know that from my perspective, someone who's very critical of content on YouTube, because I create content, even for me, someone who really picks apart vlogs and people's videos, and I can tell which ones are, worth something or not, I'm completely interested. You know what I mean? If you keep making videos for the next year, I'm going to watch every single one because I want to learn more about it because it's super interesting. So nothing would make me happier than seeing you do well on social media, and especially if you could make it into a career that you were able to spend your entire, working time on. That would be awesome. Now, the one question I do want to ask you, because I have worked with a lot of different people, and a lot of different people with different adversities who start sharing their adversity, and then they get faced with the whole time when you start getting different audience, right? You start growing your audience, but then as well as you growing your audience, you also grow the amount of people who are saying bad, negative things to you. Have you been faced with any of that yet? Have you seen anybody like commenting on your videos, calling you names or saying things that are trying to bring you down? And how do you feel about that? Do you think you'd be able to handle it well?
I've been very lucky, honestly, as far as my own content now. I mean, like we've said before, it's not like my videos have really gotten out there yet, and it's not like I've had something that's gotten 100,000 views or anything yet. But I have noticed if I do, I mean, I'm active. I don't really watch TV. I do have my, I guess, subscribers that I'm subscribed to, and I watch videos, or I listen to them. So, but I'll listen to YouTube videos, and if there's something I'd like to comment on or something, I might make a comment on. And then if somehow it gets like, I have had someone say something that, I guess, saying that I commented on like a video about, I think Kai Green or something, or someone like that, and you kind of put my input because and he's, there's all kinds of, I know, especially being in YouTubes for so long, there's, the keyboard warriors that are wanting to they get on there just just say negative things, and it doesn't bother me at all, and I kind of just listen to it and laugh, and then, but it really doesn't bother me. I think, I don't know, it's just, to me, if you have to put others down to like make yourself feel better, I think they have, I think they have bigger things to worry about, in my opinion. But I don't let it really bother me.
Totally. That's the same way I look at it, man. If people are saying negative things, it just means that they haven't put enough time into figuring out themselves, and so they're just releasing that any way they can, and it comes out in negative, comments towards you or whatever. So you got to take it with a grain of salt. Like, you haven't followed me for a long time, but back in the day I had really bad acne, really bad cystic acne. So people would always come into my videos and just be like, dude, you pizza face, gross looking, or like, dude, it looks like that thing's gonna pop. I'm covering myself in an umbrella, like saying crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And for me, luckily, like, dude, I've faced that my whole life, so it's just what I can just wipe it right off. So we'll wrap this up pretty soon here with this last question, and I'm gonna have I really plan on having you on another podcast at least, if not another video. And I'd like to also hear what you guys think. If you would like to have him on future podcasts, maybe make a series out of this, let me know in the comments. But the last thing I really want to address is, for those who don't know what you're doing right now, what your plan is, what your big goal is right now, you're gonna go compete in bodybuilding, your first competition, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So actually, okay, yeah. So that's like, I guess my goal right now is, so I've always wanted to compete, probably since about 3 years ago. That's when I've had the first thoughts, and I wanted to do physique. I've wanted to do physique, and then every year it would come around, and I'd honestly look in the mirror, or I would, I would think I'm not big enough, or I'm not in good enough shape. It was size. That was always what got me. I would always think I wasn't ready. But last year, when I moved back home in April, I had all intentions of doing a physique show in the last fall of 2016. But then my eyes just kept getting, and it was I had a whole lot of other things that I really had to worry on. I couldn't focus on that. So But now, yeah, this fall, it's actually October 28th. The Mid-Atlantic Classic in Charlotte is the one I'm doing, but I'm going to do a bodybuilding competition. So not physique. I'm actually going to do bodybuilding because my legs, I believe, I was always worried my legs weren't going to be, because bodybuilding you wear your Speedos. So
Right.
I was worried my legs wasn't going to be in good enough shape, but I think I'm
Your
there.
legs are
so,
huge,
yeah.
bro. I've seen them and they're gigantic. You got frog legs, bro.
I know, that's what everybody says. I'm like, it's so funny because I really haven't trained. I've probably almost a year to probably 2 years now. I've consistently not skipped leg day, and and leg day is now my favorite day. But I've been deadlifting and squatting. Those are my two lifts there. But nice. I've noticed a lot of size on my legs, so I'm excited to see how it goes. So I'll be doing. It's my first competition I've ever done, so I'll be in a true novice class. So it'll be all first time competitors. So I'm very excited to see how it goes.
Dude, I'm amped
that's
for it.
That's really, and that's like here in about start of June, around probably first, second week of June is when I'm going to start my prep as far as cutting. I'm going to do about 16, 18 weeks, I think. So, I'm going to obviously be documenting all that on my channel, and that's, I guess, like you were saying, the plans of my channel, from here until, I guess, after October, that's my plans, to really document this whole journey of competing for the first time, and doing it without being able to see, because that definitely throws you a curveball. But
No doubt, bro. Like when you're trying to perfect your physique and you're trying to see where your weak or your strong points are in your body, are you just feeling your body to see what's
I do. People probably think I'm crazy. I bet in the gym I don't do it, obviously not as an arrogant way. I'll flex and kind of just feel and try to find imbalances.
Right.
And actually, the video I'm uploading tomorrow is talking about how bodybuilding it's literally an art, in my opinion. Whether you're doing it for a hobby or if you are competing, it's really an art. We do. I mean, if you can see, you look in the mirror and you. Okay, well, I need to kind of like a sculpture. If you're sculpting something out of ice or out of clay, you look and you need to put some on the left side to make it symmetrical. So we kind of do it the same with our body. It just takes years and years to perfect. So I definitely feel. And as far as posing goes, I've never posed, so I do have a few older gentlemen that are very experienced with bodybuilding that in my gym that have been helping me with posing, so they definitely tell me if something is, I guess, lacking. I feel right now I'm pretty good. I mean, besides calves, but that's really a genetic muscle. No matter I keep doing them, but they're not growing.
They're stubborn.
It's so stubborn. Calves are stubborn. So yeah.
I think that's so cool, man. If I could watch a movie on your life, or even just on this little segment leading up to this competition, man, I would pay any amount of money for that. That is such a cool ass idea. Going into your first competition, having to do it in a completely different way, having so many different curveballs. It's so much more interesting to me than watching a normal prep that you've seen 100 times. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and that's like I was saying, I've always had this admiration to start a YouTube channel, but really, and I think you started one probably, what was it, 5 years ago, or?
My YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Yeah, I started 7 years ago, man.
Oh, 7 years. See, and you kind of got on the train right, really, when, I mean, I guess you really needed to, because now there's so many people, and it's you kind of need to, you got to have your own story, you got to be original, and you kind of have, you gotta be different. And I've always had that admiration, but I'd always have to think, I'm like, well, what's gonna make me stick out from the other 1,000 or that are just like me? And now that this happened, I was like, well, here, it kind of gave me a chance to, I guess, stand out and be different. So
right,
I guess that's a plus. But
it's what do you have to offer? And you have tons to offer. And I think the coolest thing about your situation too, man, is it's not like you're 10 years, you've been blind for 10 years and you have all this expertise about it. It's you have certain things you've learned from the first year or so of it, but you're still going through it, the thick of it. You're figuring it out day by day. That is so cool, man.
I know, I'm learning. I'm still learning.
That's so sick, man. That makes me so excited. Even beyond bodybuilding and stuff, even just life stuff. If you made a vlog that was just going to the water park for the first time since being blind. I would watch that because I would like to see how that works, man. Like, you could make a million videos of each different thing, and they'd be so interesting to watch, man.
That's actually, and you know, I like me and my cousin are kind of like, I do have a brother, but me and my cousin we were the same age and roomed together in college and stuff, and we've always grew up doing crazy things, like just being crazy, just being like
wild.
I don't know. We would do just being wild, and we always have these ideas, and we usually execute on them. So like one we had this past winter is I really want to go tandem skiing.
Okay.
It's a thing. It's like we looked it up, and I was like, there's no way that's an actual thing. Well, it is a thing. You got two people strapped on a ski, so I definitely want to try it. And like tandem biking. Actually, I have a lot of goals I want to, I guess, eventually do. One is triathlon. I think I would
Man, that's cool.
I really want to maybe do that as well, but
man,
I kind of like being diverse. But bodybuilding and powerlifting are my two main ones. After this competition, I think I might try to do a powerlifting meet. That's my if I can keep getting stronger. That's the.
I love your outlook on life, man. I like the fact that you sound like you want to adventure and do all sorts of different stuff, and it doesn't really sound like you're letting this really hold you back from anything, and that's really inspiring and really awesome to hear, man.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks for joining me on the podcast today and on the video today. If anybody wants to go check out Justin, I urge you so heavily to click the link and go watch a video or two. And if you like him, subscribe, man, because I'm telling you, this year is going to be a very interesting year for everything that he's doing. And I think we can all gain a little bit of something from watching him. So thank you again for joining me on the podcast, man.
Oh yeah, man. It's been nice. It's been nice.
All right, guys. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Let us know what you think in the comments below. Even fuel some new questions for some of the future podcasts we might do with Justin. In terms of questions you might want to hear answers from him of. And then if you're not subscribed already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Team Beyond the Week. CT.
Lift heavy or die Myron, motherfucker.
Team Beyond the Week.
CT. Lift heavy